If you're looking to build a website and you're having troubles figuring out which platform you should use, this video is for you. Let's take a look at 3 different options, basically 3 different platforms that are the most commonly used today. So the first one is WordPress. WordPress has been around for a long time. It still powers the vast majority of the websites on the internet, but it's under fire, mostly because of AI. But let's take a look at WordPress specifically, and we'll see what the pros and cons are. First of all, you control the design. So if you build it, you design it, you have control over it. You can take it to any hosting that you want. The big thing is that you have control of it. That's one of the big differences compared to, say, the page builders. It's established. It's been around for a long time. There are a lot of plugins. There's a lot of support related to it, which is why I have basically support everywhere here. There are so many people that know how to work with WordPress. If you have an issue, it's very likely you're going to find a solution somewhere for it. It's highly customizable. Now, this is also a good and bad thing, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but it's highly customizable in terms of there are literally thousands of different plugins available that whatever functionality you're looking for, you can probably find it in a plugin. And if not, somebody can easily design it for you, especially with AI now. So the fact that if you need it to do something specific, whether you have an RV rental business or a plumber business or whatever you need, WordPress can handle it. There are very few limitations. There is so many things you can do with WordPress that there aren't a lot of limitations to it, both in design-wise and in development or functionality. Before I go to the negatives, let's talk about the page builders next. So the page builders are things like your Wix and your Squarespace. These are really popular, especially for a business that is just starting out. They need some type of low-cost option that they can build themselves. With WordPress, chances are you need a developer to help you build that. Unless you're going to really dig in and learn, it takes a lot to learn all the elements of WordPress. But page builder, super easy to do. So it's low cost. It's really fast to build anything you need. So if you're going to build a website, you can basically just take the modules, put them where you want, change the content, and you're ready to go. Most times you can have something functional up and running in just an afternoon. So super fast, ready to launch, and let's go. You don't need a lot of knowledge to be able to build anything on there. Once again, it's quite straightforward and easy. So that's a really positive thing for a page builder. Low maintenance. One of the issues with the other platforms is you will have to look after it. Whereas page builders, they essentially do everything for you. You just pay the monthly fee and they take care of it all. So updates, maintenance, security, all that kind of thing. In terms of the 3 options here, it is the best security. It's the least likely that you're going to have your website hacked. And if they do, or if you do have it hacked, chances are support will help you get it back to where it was. Now let's take a look at AI. AI is the sexy one in the room. Everyone loves it. Everyone wants to use it because AI is so fun in what you can do. A lot of digital marketing agencies are moving away from WordPress to AI for a number of different reasons. One, it's highly customizable. You can do so many things with it, things that you may not have been able to do in the past. For myself, I've been building websites for nearly 30 years now, but I don't know how to design with PHP or other coding languages to the extent that I can build some of the things that are in my mind, but with AI, I can do that. So highly customizable. There aren't a lot of limitations because of that. It is a low cost, probably even lower cost than a page builder once you get it built and you find hosting for it. And it is quite easy to design. You don't have to go do the design work yourself. Where in WordPress, you're still going to have to put all your styles in, the colors, the layout, the way you want it. You just tell AI what to do and it's going to do it. So very easy to do. So let's take a look at some of the drawbacks for each of these. Let's come back to WordPress here. WordPress, it has the biggest security issues. Now, that's not to say that WordPress is of itself a bad or a big risk for security. The reality is the core of WordPress is actually quite strong for security. The issue becomes when you start adding more plugins in. So the more plugins you add, the more potential issues or loopholes there will be for security. Now, a lot of those, especially the reputable plugins, they get patched really quickly, but it's still, for a WordPress site, you might have easily 20 or 30 plugins installed on that website. And that's kind of leads to another issue, potential conflicts. If you have potential conflicts, or the more things you add to something, especially when they're all built by somebody else, there's potential for conflicts because they haven't tested all of these different situations. It's just impossible. It's not feasible. So potential conflicts, that can lead to potentially some security issues. But for the most part, if you keep your website up to date and you look after some of the basic security elements, you're usually going to be okay. I always highly recommend you keep backups of anything. Doesn't matter which of these you have, make sure you have backups. So the thing is, you do have to frequently maintain and update your WordPress site. That's a bit of a downer because it means you have to look after it frequently. And finally, performance issues. Now, a WordPress site can be extremely fast. That's not a question in terms of most designers. The issue is making sure that those potential conflicts, or in a lot of cases, adding those plugins that are maybe really poorly coded with performance not taken into consideration, well, that's where you can get some performance issues. Or even the things that you just normally do can cause performance issues without even realizing it if you don't have any experience to look after that kind of stuff. There are plugins to help with that. But again, if you didn't know they existed or you weren't sure why, that can be a hard thing to track down and to address. Let's take a look at the page builders. The biggest thing, these three issues are the biggest things that cause me usually not to recommend using a page builder. There are a lot of limitations. Now, from an SEO perspective, so in other words, search engine optimization, if you're trying to build a website that will show up on Google, the page builders usually are the worst one. And actually, I probably should have put that in there. SEO is usually the worst of these three options. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be that way, but of the three options, that's generally the case. So there are many limitations. So if you want to add functionality or embed certain forms, you might be really limited on what you can do. You might not be able to connect it with various platforms. If you're using something like a customer relationship management system, those may not connect into here. So that those limitations, anything outside of that base functionality that the platform does, that can be a real struggle. So if you really want to grow your business, that's where the page builder really falls flat. So that's generally why WordPress has been better than page builders historically, because as you grow, you can always add more to WordPress, but you have limitations with page builder. You don't own the design. So if you build it on Wix, you can't take that design and go to Squarespace. It's a brand new site. Or if you want to go to WordPress, it's still a brand new site. But you can always take a WordPress to a different host. If somebody was looking after it, somebody else can, like if you had a designer build it, you can always have another designer come in, take over. That is not an issue. But in this case, you don't own the design. As soon as you stop paying them, your design, your whole website is gone. Some of them have free platform or free packages, but you have to be really careful what it does. It can really take away your functionality. And you have less control. So you don't have the ability to do If you have some great ideas in mind, you may not be able to implement them. For AI, the biggest issue is the hazardous unknowns. If you have never built a website, and this is one of the things nobody talks about, is AI can be great. On the surface, it can look fantastic, it can work, but if you don't know some elements of building a website, this is where it can be a real problem. For instance, security loopholes, performance issues, or even something like ADA compliance. So that's accessibility. So people with hard of hearing or sight or visual problems. If you didn't realize those things have to be addressed, or even SEO, if you didn't know about those things, if you never built a website before, chances are you wouldn't think that you have to tell AI, go consider these issues. By default, AI is not going to put any SEO effort in or make it compatible with different accessibility devices, or even make it responsive so it looks the same on a phone as it does on a website or on a desktop computer. So those are things that you may not know about, but it can look good. And not to mention security issues. There can be some major security loopholes that AI didn't plug just by building it. Usually have to go and prompt it. And even then, there's still some potential issues. Prompt confusion is a term that I've kind of created. As I've built many of these websites, it can be hard to provide the right terminology and wording for AI to give you what you're after. So if you don't know the difference between padding and margin, you can be saying, hey, give me more padding in this area. And it doesn't give you what you're doing because you're after margin. So that's can be a simple difference, but if you're not giving it the right terminology, it may not be giving you the right results. And more so, sometimes you can be very explicit and it can make its own thing up. So there's still things like hallucinations where AI just does whatever it wants because it thinks. I don't really know what it thinks sometimes. Intelligence isn't always a strong suit of AI. It does require experience. Really, it does. As much as people talk about using, hey, go use AI, you can create these great websites. And yeah, you can create great websites. But if you don't have that base knowledge of building a website, I think you're going to run into some major issues. If not now, probably down the road. And it is still early technology. There are still a lot being done with AI. It has come a long way in the last year. Massive improvements, and it continues to get better, but we know there's still some issues with it. So early technology always has those kind of things. So in terms of cost, WordPress is probably going to be your most expensive. This is likely on the low side at $300 per year. That includes your hosting, your domain name, and some plugins. Usually you have to get some premium plugins to do what you want. So this is probably a little bit on the low side, depending on what you want to build. Page builders, your kind of starting rate is about $20 a month plus your domain name. So it works out to about $250 a year. AI, this could be brought down, but your base is generally around $200 a year because you still have to host it somewhere and you still need a domain name. But there are some places where you can host it for supposedly for free. I haven't really gone into them, but on the lower side, you can probably get away with it $200 per year. You don't need to pay for a bunch of premium plugins. In fact, actually, that's one of the things I've been starting to do. I use WordPress. And actually, that's another thing I should mention. AI is now being sort of brought into these two platforms. So I'm using a lot more AI with WordPress because WordPress still gives me that foundation. And I can just implement some of the things that I would have paid for a different plugin before and build it myself. And now it works. Now I know that it's tested with the other plugins that I built and there's fewer conflicts. So if you're looking to build a website and you're considering these three different options, hopefully that gives you enough understanding of where to go. If you are brand new, you've never built a website before, you probably should look at a page builder. If you have a little bit of experience or you have some time or money to pay for somebody else, then WordPress or even AI. Honestly, I know a lot of people love the idea of AI, and it is fantastic. But until you have a little bit of experience, I would recommend staying away from it for now. So that's my suggestions, my recommendations. Hopefully this helps, and good luck with your website.